Show. Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Long time, no time. I feel like I haven't podcasted in weeks. I'm lying. I literally just did a show. Hopefully, you enjoyed my review of Forza Motorsport by Turn 10 Studios. If you didn't know, if you did miss it, or you did miss it, I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. I think it is a masterclass achievement in sound and in graphics and in gameplay, but more specifically, for me, it's the accessibility that they just allow for you to play the game how you want to play it. And you're gonna see like on the replays, they're god tier. They're just so good. But listen, I'm not here by myself anymore. I have Mav, who has not only did his own 3-hour stream yesterday, which was phenomenal. And if you missed it, you definitely got to check it out. It was a lot of fun. I watched the whole thing this morning. He played on Xbox, but he had a chance to play on PC. We're going to get all of his hot takes. Mav, how you feeling, brother? Long time, man. It's been a minute since you've been on the show. I'm glad to have you back.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Boom. Anytime I get to hang out with you, it's kind of like coming home a little bit, you know. You're one of the godfathers out there
Oh,
of
thank you, sir. That's very kind of
podcasting,
you to
you know. So
say.
no, it's great to be here, dude. And especially I was kind of glad, honestly, to see we're gonna be discussing Forza Motorsport.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it is honestly, it's everything I hope for, and I know we're gonna get into a lot more into this, you know. But like, I did stream yesterday. I was actually playing off and on all day yesterday, but finally I was able to stream last night, and it was just a blast all day yesterday. I was hooked, and can't wait to talk about it, man. And great review, boom. I was
Oh,
just
thank you,
catching
thank you. Yeah,
in when
I
I could,
listen.
so
I'm as unprofessional reviewer as you could possibly get. Like I said, I have a million things going on in my mind. I had folks. I didn't take a picture of it, but I had notes like literally littered on the desk.
yeah,
And
there's no right way or wrong way to do a review, in my opinion. I think like if you're just giving your thoughts and impressions, and that's all a review really is. Yeah, and whatever the method you choose to deliver, I like the live format for you.
yes, for me
Uh,
that works. That's not for
yeah,
everybody, but it's fine. It's fine.
no, it's great. Good stuff. I hope to see more of those in the future.
I
Maybe,
appreciate it. Well, you know what, folks? I'll say this. I don't know for sure, but I'm just assuming that I got approved for a Bethesda code for Starfield. Now, I didn't get the early access code. I got the early access availability on the first, which is still a really big deal. I got approved by the PR, which is great. I've been in contact with their PR, which I did not have a contact with their PR. Thanks to Jeff Rubenstein and a few other people like Cognito, I kind of navigated the waters because, like I said, this is just a mom and pop operation. We're still relatively small, and I like to handshake with the best of them, but we don't have a lot of connections.
yeah,
And of course, Jeff Rubenstein and I have been working together for years. Since I think the big one was 2019 when I had Larry Herb on the show. Which, I mean, come on, it's Larry Herb, and even though he's retired, it's
yeah.
still a big deal. And apparently, and again, I'm just assuming I made the Rolodex because I did get offered the review code of Forza, and I did get offered a chance to go to the super secret event where I met the some of the founding fathers of Turn 10 Studios, which was amazing. Like,
Yeah.
holy crap.
Hey, that's awesome, man. Was
So
that Dan Greenwald there?
you're great. Dan, I met Dan and
Nice.
oh my god. Hold on, Chris. I met Chris Izaki as
Yeah.
well. He's a funny dude. I mean, they're both really funny, but Chris is very welcoming. And so was Dan. I got a chance to talk to Dan for a minute or two. But Chris was like, "Hey, what's going on?" I even got a chance to tell him. Yeah, he goes, "Where are you from?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'm from New York. I was a police officer here in the city for 21 years." Oh my god, really? So we had a great conversation. It was awesome. It
Yeah,
was
that's
awesome to
nice.
get a chance to talk with those guys, and and sit down. And again, this is a mom and pop operation to be involved in something so big and literally be so small. I mean, come on, that's humbling as humbling gets. But enough of that shenanigans. You know what? I don't like negativity, as you all know. I will force up against it. I will definitely challenge it, but I have to come to the defense of Destin Legarie, who is unfortunately been at the brunt of a lot of people's eggs and tomatoes. Now what happened with Destin? This happened about 18 hours ago. And look, I know he works for IGN. He's got to pay his bills. He has 2 kids, he has a wife, he has a mortgage. The guy's got to work. Okay. I don't like IGN. I made it perfectly clear. There are people at IGN I think are just cowards and con men. And I'm not going to get into who they are, but you've heard me talk about them. It's fine. Those people exist in the world, not my cup of tea. But Destin Legarie, on the other hand, is Boom's cup of tea. And, I've watched some of his stuff while he's at IGN. Not a lot of it because I don't like giving them the click, but I am a huge fan of what he does on his YouTube channel. So yesterday, he and again, I'm going to read what he put out there, and he wasn't shying away from the criticism, folks. He was out there answering people's tweets, even some people that were pretty nasty. I would have ignored, I would have blocked. He did not. He stood there and took the arrows, if you will. So what happened was he had posted a video of Forza Motorsport versus Gran Turismo 7. And apparently there was a bug and again, this remember we got it early, but there was a couple of patches that I got. One big one yesterday before it went live that fixed this issue. So Matt, he wrote this. He says about that Forza gameplay. I got to admit, I made a mistake. Earlier, I released a version of Gran Turismo 7 versus Forza Motorsport video with a color space issue caused when changing your settings in the menu and not restarting the game. In my case, restarting the console was also necessary. Turn 10 told IGN we have already checked in a fix for this and it'll be in our next update. However, this issue was present in all of our console gameplay, so it will be recaptured and replaced to give a more accurate representation of Forza Motorsport. Thank you to the fans who pointed me towards this issue. This was a mistake, and I apologize for not catching it ahead of publishing. So that's a real man right there. That's a real man. He goes on to say, many of you were right, and I've got corrections to make. As I said, if I identified an issue with my capture methodology, I will fix it. So that what I'm doing, so that's what I'm doing. I take a lot of pride in my work. I double and triple check my capture method and to ensure it wasn't introducing an issue. It unfortunately turned out to be an issue that required a complete restart of the game and my console in my specific case. Thank you for the fans who pointed out the issue that was flagged by Digital Foundry. This was a mistake, and I apologize for not catching it ahead of publishing. I don't know how more apologetic you can get. Like, honestly, the guy is embarrassed. He put this out. He was immediately, I mean, folks, IGN, they might as well just be like somewhere it's tattooed somewhere Sony's property, but that's not Destin. And I really wanted to come out here and open up and talk about this because I understand. I have no problem, ladies and gentlemen, flinging those rocks or arrows at IGN because they have earned that slander with their BS. But here, a mistake was made. And I saw people, oh, there he goes, Mr. Pony. I mean, he built his 100,000 subscriber channel off of the back of Xbox players. Most of us go to him because we kind of like his stuff. And I don't think that he would try to jeopardize all the work that he did. Listen, folks, I'm struggling to get to 14K. This dude in record time got to 100K, got his plaque and everything. Well deserved work. I like Destin a lot. So I'm here to talk about it. I want to put it on Front Street. We're going to get into Forza. We're going to get into a few other things. Remember, this is a 70-minute show, 1 hour, 10 minutes in and out. But Mav, I want to go to you, brother. Let's get your hot take on this because I know you have a lot to say, and I really want the people to hear about it.
Yeah, so um it's unfortunate, honestly, for Destin, and for at the end of the day, this for me is more of an IGN issue than a Destin Legarie issue. I think that Destin made a mistake. He honestly went out there and he tried to, and he apologized and he admitted his mistake and all that kind of stuff in the right way. It's extremely unfortunate. It seems that every single time there's some kind of editing issue or some kind of thing, games missing from a launch lineup or whatever kind of video that IGN does, somehow the mistakes always end up pointing negatively towards Xbox. So if this was in a vacuum and it was only this one issue, I think it would stand separate and people would be more accepting of the fact that he made a mistake and the apology and all that kind of stuff. But the issue is that it's compounded on top of other things that have happened recently. Videos that are missing Xbox for the launch of their games, uh, horrible captures as well for other games, horrible gameplay footage shown on other Xbox exclusives and all these kind of things. And meanwhile, the IGN people like Dan Stapleton's and Max Scoville's and people like that, instead of doing what Destin did and actually admit their mistake and then come out and apologize and then take the criticism, they had actually gone on to berate fans for calling out their mistakes and all those kind of things in the past. Like, I remember the issue with Jasper when he just brought up the fact that the Xbox was missing on those things,
Are
and
you
then
talking about when he was attacked by Brian Altano?
it was
Who
that it was Max, it was
oh,
Max,
Max
that one,
Scoville.
yeah,
Okay, that's right. I forgot. I was attacked
yeah,
by what's his name? Yeah, Max Scoville.
yeah.
Uh, yeah.
So this kind of just at the end of the day, it compounds on top of the issues, right? That lead to this IGN continuously making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. Somehow that gets through the editing and all these kind of fact checks and all these kind of things that paint Xbox in a negative light, right? To Destin's credit, which is why I said I did make a tweet that I said, it's unfortunate that a lot of people that work at IGN are assholes, but but not all of them, right? I honestly believe that Destin was not trying to um create this issue. I feel like he made a mistake as he owned up to it. So to his credit, unlike the others, which is one of the main reasons I have an issue with a lot of people at the IGN, is when a mistake is made, it's how you handle it and how you present yourself and the credibility, integrity that you have as a creator, right? As a writer, as a journalist, or as a reviews editor, or as a video editor, or whatever, a content creator, if you have integrity behind it and you stand up for what you say and you honestly can admit to when you screw up and then take the criticism without attacking back and without going and claiming people are raging or being conspiracy theorists and all of this stuff. Just admitting that, hey, I screwed up. Sorry, I'm going to redo this. And to his credit, that's what he did. So, props to him for admitting that. I still think at the end of the day, it's a mistake that should have been caught beforehand. So, you know, I think it's an easy mistake to make, but if it looks like that, I mean, you got to see the other videos that are going around everywhere and realize, hey, maybe there's some kind of like issue here because my game doesn't look like everybody else's that is posting. So somehow it slipped through. Luckily it was caught early enough to where they're able to pull it. But it just adds to that narrative, man. IGN is anti Xbox and there's a bias there. There's you can call it a conspiracy, you can call it whatever, but at the end of the day, another piece was added to that narrative, whether it was on purpose or not. And I honestly think this one was a mistake. Even doing that video in the first place, you could call a interesting choice, right? So there's that to add to it as well. But props to Destin for standing up
Yes.
to and admitting the mistake. So I have no issues with him. But was it an IGN decision to make this video? Was it Destin's decision to make this video in the first place? Like, because even his kind of talk beforehand was like, I might do this video, but you guys may not like what you see, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of putting out. I mean, that's kind of putting out there even a negative light then as well, right? And the Forza is not a perfect game. I love the game, and we'll talk about more in depth
Yeah. We're
on
gonna
like
we're gonna we're gonna get your
all of that.
into your thoughts and everything.
But
Absolutely. Yeah.
to have this kind of like versus mentality on this, it's honestly should be the highlight should be on Forza right now, and then we'll get there's gonna be a lot of times for comparisons, but this is an achievement from Turn 10, and for some reason now a lot of it has turned into this drama, yeah, thing that doesn't need to be there.
Well, I mean, listen, what we're gonna do is I kind of want to touch on that because I think that's an important aspect. Look, folks, I am not going to challenge anyone's review, right? Like reviewing a game is subjective. If you don't like the game because you don't like the game, well, then you just don't like the game. That is perfectly fine. You can give it, you can give it its flowers or you can give it its faults, whatever you're comfortable with. But I expect honesty and integrity when it comes to reviewing games. And that's what I do. Now, I'm sure there's going to be somebody in the chat that's going to be, oh, well, boom, you gave it a 9.5 because the game is a 9.5 out of 10. Did I give it a perfect 10? No, I did not give it a perfect 10. I said that I shaved off a half a point because I wanted more in the career mode. They don't have that right now. And some things that I did not like were locked behind actual, available in 5 days, available in 8 days. I don't like that. I want to be able to. Why isn't it available right now? So that's why I shaved off the 5 points. I think I thoroughly broke down why it's a 9.5 out of 10 for me. The one thing that I find unbelievably suspicious, Mav, and we're keeping this isn't just an IGN thing. It's a game. It's a gaming journalism thing. Um, it's and I want to go back because there was a time where Xbox kept stepping on rakes, as they're known to do. Self-inflicted wounds. They're notorious for it. They've done some really stupid shit. I'm sorry. They have. But at the end of the day, since Phil Spencer has been given the leadership responsibilities, and I take this all the way back to 2018, they have course corrected in a way that and again, what they have done probably has to do with the amount of money they're being funded by Microsoft. But make no mistake, Xbox was almost a sold business, folks. And in 5 years' time, they went from having 5 first party studios pre E3 2018 to where they're going to have 35 plus named studios. And more than that, when you consider that some of the named studios, like Infinity Warp, have 4 studios, and Treyarch has 3 studios. So they may be closer to 40 actual studios,
Yeah.
right? And that is a lot of people working for Xbox. What that tells me is the gaming media who used to say Xbox needs to compete, they need to be better, right? This is why they suck.
You sound just
Well,
like them, Boom.
Yeah, well, that's how they sound. They're, sorry if I insulted anyone, but that's how they sound to me in my mind. And no matter what they do, folks, it seems that they're going to continue to get the short end of the stick. They're not going to, because I'll say this, and if you agree, awesome. If you disagree, I hear you. I hear you. No sweat. But I think that there is an Xbox tax, meaning anywhere between 1 to 10 points off is automatic before a game is even turned on. Yeah, that's a -5. It's Xbox. But I think the exact opposite for PlayStation. I think that there is a scale that someone has their thumb on that is giving 5 to 10 points before you even turn on a game. Now, Spider-Man 2, we're gonna see. Now, I'm excited for it. I've been talking about it like a lunatic because I cannot wait to play everything. Everything is getting put down for Spider-Man 2. Everything. Because I can't wait to play it. I have no judgment, and I know the game is gonna be very samey. You're gonna be, hitting X and doing combos, and it's gonna be this, swinging around the city. Yeah, it's got 2 new boroughs, which is awesome because that's amazing. But it's gonna be like Spider-Man 2018, like Spider-Man Miles Morales. It's gonna be very samey. But I'm not taking off points because of that, because I'm gonna judge the game for what the game is. So I think that there it for both sides of the coin here, Mav. There is an Xbox tax where points are removed before you even turn on a game. And I think for Sony, because they're the market leader and they are paying people in their pockets, I don't care what anyone says. You say that I'm crazy about this, you're never going to change my mind. I'm sorry. It's big business, and they're here to make money, and they're here to win. And if they have to pay people, they will pay people. And if you think that doesn't exist, well, good on you. Live in your walled garden. That's perfectly fine. I think that there is a 5 to 10 scale before you even turn on a PlayStation game. 100%. And Gran Turismo 7 versus Forza Motorsport is a perfect example. Folks, Gran Turismo 7 at launch was a disaster. It was an absolute mess. It had stuff behind paywalls. You saw cars flipping, like flipping past the finish line and winning the race. Like, I've never seen anything like that. And not even an arcade racer. That's a straight up sim racer. And it got an 87. What you see does this look like an 84 to you? It does not look like an 84 to me. I don't know how they figured this out, how an 84 on Metacritic equates what we're playing right now versus the 87 broken game. And what's worse is they hid those microtransactions behind not releasing any information until the game was out, and then they dumped it. And no one in the gaming media changed their review, because if it would have been Xbox, you would have saw the pitchforks and the torches. But let's talk about that for a second. Let's get your hot take on that, Mav.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I'm a Gran Turismo fan, right? I like Gran Turismo. I always have. Um, to me, there's always been certain things I like about Gran Turismo and certain things I like about Forza, right? But seeing the takes and the reviews when Gran Turismo 7 came out versus seeing the takes and reviews now for Forza Motorsport, it is clear as day, right? It happened with Starfield. I was criticized for being hard on reviewers and big media because I thought there was an obvious bias there, and some of this stuff that we're seeing was just absolute ludicrous. I mean, sevens and stuff like that for Starfield with with that game. I mean, that game getting sevens. I mean, that's even more of a travesty than Forza Motorsport now. And now we see Forza, which is got really no major issues whatsoever. I mean, like, it's a masterpiece of a sim racer. Honestly, the best handling racing feel game I've ever played. And I've played every single Gran Turismo. I've played every single motorsport. We've had 6 years off from Forza Motorsport. I've been itching to get back to it ever since. And I still like Gran Turismo a lot, but there is no comparison here when it comes down to where it matters the most. When it comes down to handling and racing, at the end of the day, this is by far the better game. There's little critiques and criticisms you can say about the progression system that some people don't like, or this or that, and that's fine. But to take it for what matters at the end of the day, besides personal preference on specific issues, is created the best racing game ever made. I feel like this is hands down, in my opinion, the best racer that's ever been. And for these reviews to come out with eights, and I've seen even some lower than that, and all these things like this, it's like meanwhile giving Gran Turismo 7 a pass on a lot of different stuff, and not to
Yep.
mind you, the worst aspect of Gran Turismo 7, which I still find fun in its own quirky way, is the cars float on the track. They
They
do.
do. Yeah.
They do. It's always felt floaty. That it is probably the worst simulation of car racing there is, as far as actually feeling like you're in something that has weight to it. The cars literally feel like they're weightless in Gran Turismo, and I still find it fun because I think it's quirky and it's still a fun game to play. But at the end of the day, that's just the facts. It's just what it is. When it comes down to handling and racing, Forza Motorsport has always taken the crown, and this one has advanced it so far past every other Forza Motorsport and every other racing game. This is by far the best feeling racer ever. Now, some people can have critiques over certain aspects of lighting and all that kind of stuff, and we'll get into that. But like at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? It's about the racing. It's about the racing and the fun of the game. That's what it used to be about, right? Um, Instead of comparison videos pointing to, well, look at this one spot with this little reflection on this little area over here and compare it to this
The
one little
tree's
spot on this
leaves
little,
on this one thing I
come on.
paused. You know what's interesting? Johnny Ravioli in the chat. He puts two really important things I want to say. First, thanks for being here, Johnny. Definitely appreciate that. He says, fun fact, Forza Motorsport 2023 is the lowest rated Forza of all time. Right?
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. It's the lowest Forza of all time, and this 7 was loathed by fans. This blows 7's doors off. But he also gives a second point. He says, this the thing I don't understand, specifically points out IGN, is in the IGN review, he said it's the best Forza ever, yet it has the lowest score. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
See, I mean, I mean, that's conflicting.
When it comes to IGN, you add a point at least to it. That's my philosophy. If IGN ever gives a game from Xbox a 10, it'll be an 11. Okay, like you add a point to anything IGN at least ever does for Xbox at this point. It literally cannot be trusted worth a damn. And it's a shame they're the biggest games media outlet because they're absolute worthless when it comes to actual
I just
information.
wish Microsoft would pull a Sony. I'm sorry, man. Like at some point there has to be ramifications, Mav. Like
Yeah.
you know that they're going out of their way to hurt you. Like it is like you keep walking into this fist. I would be like, you know what? We're not giving you guys review copies. Write an article about it, please. Let people know that you guys are a bunch of S bags over there, and you know what? We're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. I'm just saying it to me. It's to the point. It's like, for instance, you were just talking about it. JCon79 in the chat says the cars actually feel like they have weight. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And that's what you were just saying about Gran Turismo. They literally the review. They said that it felt like it was on ice.
Yeah, that literally, like, Gran Turismo has always had the same feel with their cars, right? And you know, the cars feel slow, right? They kind of float on the track. And honestly, I don't have a huge issue with it because I play Gran Turismo differently. Like, you get no penalty for bouncing off of walls and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like bumper cars. So whenever I play Gran Turismo, I've always kind of had this like, this is its own thing, and I'm just enjoying it for what it is, and not ever going to be too critical of it because I still have fun with it at the end of the day. And fun for me is what it's about.
Yes.
But when you actually
Yes.
talk about comparing, like, actually competitive racing, right? Actual competitive racing, and you're actually judging the way the cars feel and the handling and the physics of the cars. There's literally Forza's always been way better than Gran Turismo in that regard. That's one of the reasons it stood out and actually took off as the predominant racing franchise in gaming. beyond that, though, the leap that they took from 7 to this one is the biggest leap I've ever felt in a Forza game by far when it comes to
It's very
handling.
apparent for
And
sure.
where every Gran Turismo has felt, you know, it's the same. I felt like every Forza in their own way more or less felt the same all the way through until this one, right? They've made improvements in both games, but it always kind of had this sort of the same feel. But this Forza feels like an evolution with sim racing that I haven't experienced before in any sim racer with the way the cars feel and the handling, right? Like, it really takes it to the next level, and that is the it is like this itch in me to like I woke up this morning as like I got to get to I want to play Forza. You know, I got to play Forza, and
I was up
I
at 6 o'clock, and the first thing I did while Mrs. Boom is, washing herself up because we get up at 6 every day. I turned on my Xbox, and then when she was done, I went in and I literally ran back to the controller, and I was like, "Oh my, I could get 10, 15 minutes in, do some recording footage because that's how I record footage. I record 10, 15 minutes at a time, unless I can actually have time to sit, which I've done, and I'll sit for like 2 hours, and it's great. But dude, I like we're talking about it, and I cannot wait to play it. Like
yeah.
honestly, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I played off every chance I had to play yesterday, I was playing, and, I moved to New Zealand, right? I did the thing, like,
Yeah, I
early
heard
early in the
that, man.
morning.
That flight is long. I don't know how you did
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah, it's
amazing.
record time. This airplane technology these days is just insane, boom. You gotta give it a try, Got my own private jet out in the back. I can just take it whenever I want, go to New Zealand, come back. Um, but yeah, I was playing all day off and on yesterday. I wasn't lucky enough to get a review copy or anything like that. But I played significant amount yesterday. Uh, and I think I hit like level 16 already by the time I wrapped up last night. And I gotta say, like, through the different courses, the different weather, the different times of day, the different cars, everything was just amazing. I haven't played enough to have any critique or criticism towards the leveling system that I saw in some of the reviews. The progression system. I think some of that, for some reviews out there, I would actually like to see what their time played was and stuff like that because
Yeah,
um
yeah,
for me right now, like I've just been doing the events, and
yeah,
going through and I'm doing this car with this event and I get it to this level and I'm upgrading it and to the point where I can at that point, and by the time I'm done with that event then I'm having a different car for a different event, right? So I haven't really felt any major roadblocks or anything like that right now with the progression system or the leveling. Hasn't been an issue for me whatsoever. In fact, in some ways, I've actually appreciated it as opposed to the other modes. Now, in the long run, at the end of the day, when you're finished with all that career stuff and you just want to like have a sandbox and do whatever you want all the time, maybe at that point, some of that stuff may get annoying. But I would challenge some of the reviewers out there that have brought this as an issue to post the amount of hours that they've played in this
yeah,
game and actually see how it's actually affected your game, right? Because I haven't spent enough time in even one car yet to max it out because I've been hopping to different racing events constantly, right? So, besides that, though, graphics wise, it stands above the rest as well. I mean, there's certain instances where I will say that, like, because I've always loved Gran Turismo's lighting. That's one of the best things that's always been about Gran Turismo, in my opinion, is that it has this kind of like photorealistic look to the lighting models that they have there. So it makes the game look good, right? So there's some instances at different times where you could say one game might have an edge here visually with the lighting, one game might have an edge here in the with specific lighting, but overall graphic and fidelity, overall Forza Motorsport blows Gran Turismo away again. So talk about graphics for me are way better in Forza. You talk about car handling and all that kind of stuff. And meanwhile, what else was Gran Turismo? Or the reason I'm bringing Gran Turismo up so much is because of the reviews and the bias there, right? What other thing was Gran Turismo heavily criticized for at the very beginning? Was the career.
yeah.
The
There was no
grind,
career.
the
It was
grind
terrible.
aspect, all that stuff,
Yeah,
the stuff that people hated about it, the how hard it was to get a car, all these kind of things, right? How these cars were like based on real money crazy values and where they go up and down in unobtainable amounts that you'd have to play like hundreds of hours to get and all this kind of stuff. That there was major criticisms over that. However, somehow it wasn't docked any points for it, right? Like, but you have a little issue with the car progression system here with the leveling mechanics, and all of a sudden that's an issue. Like, I don't understand when sometimes these reviews they hyper focus on certain aspects in a negative light, and they over punish a game for this little personal preference or critique that you have, right? And as opposed to another game that was just reviewed not too long ago, was it a year and a half ago or so? I think GT7 came out. The games like that came out, and you're not really judging them based on the same scale. Is a scale different for every game? I think it is. It seems like it. It seems like the Xbox scale is just a different scale. Period.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. And again, I don't want to beat the horse here, but I think that when it comes to PlayStation games, there's a thumb on the scale. Where it does have an advantage because it's a PlayStation exclusive. That's a fact. Sorry. You can disagree with me. You can agree with me. Well, that's fine. I'm not looking to get brownie points for it. I'm just telling it like I see it. But I can tell you what I played of this game. Now, here's the thing. See, I can't speak against Gran Turismo outside of what I read, what I've
Yeah.
seen posted online, because I don't have the game. I was hoping to actually play it, and maybe the game should and probably absolutely has to be a part of their service. It is not. It is not in there. I'm not giving them $70 for that game. I would not. I'd barely be comfortable with giving them $20 for that game. It should be in the service. Unfortunately, it is not. Another game that is first party, that's been out for a while, that should have easily been in their service, is not there. And actually, it would have made a lot of
Yeah.
sense from a hey, we want to steal some thunder away. Hey, look at our 87 Metacritic game. We just dropped it into our service.
Mm. Instead,
Uh,
you get some old movies.
yeah, well, of course, who doesn't like old movies? I'm just saying it's ridiculous.
That's a new thing they just announced.
Yeah,
Old
it's
old
I mean,
movies.
that's fine. I like movies. Mrs.
Yeah.
Moon and I are movie buffs. Most of the stuff we buy that we want, and that's the stuff we have subscriptions to, here, there, and everywhere to watch certain movies in certain places.
But to your point, Boom, that game came out 18 months ago.
Maybe even a little bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
give or
March
take.
of 2022, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I got it day one, and I've been playing like off and on since then. Like, but like, you know, what is the gate? Is it a 2 year time lapse before games enter PlayStation Plus? I'm just the fact that we get Forza Motorsport day one and it's also on PC in Game Pass.
Day one. Yeah.
Like, value has to speak for something here. Like, at the end of the day, it is an insane value to get not just Forza Motorsport, but also we just last month we got Starfield. We also got Hi-Fi Rush this year. You got Age of Empires Definitive Editions 2 and 4 entering Game Pass this year. You had the Quake 2 remaster hit, Shadow dropped. You had all these different things. Forza Motorsport again, not on, also there's no GT7 PC comparisons out there, right? Where is that? Like, I don't understand the lack of asking for value, right? To get a game like Forza Motorsport into Game Pass, like day and date, and on PC, Xbox, cross buy, right? If you want to buy it, you buy it once. You
Yep.
get cloud save progression between the two things as well. Like, it was seamless switching to PC last night, right? Like, it was, I just, as soon as it hit, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and try it out on PC. Being able to have this in the ecosystem, it adds value to the games. Like, it makes Forza Motorsport worth more to me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But we get to pay less.
Yeah.
Value towards the consumer. That's what it's all about. I can't I think this is the first Forza Motorsport that's launched since Game Pass has taken off. right? To be the thing
Yes.
it is now, right?
Outside of Forza Horizon, but you're assuming with just motorsport, yes, this is the
Because
first
Motorsport
motorsport.
7 launched in 17. I think Game Pass had just come out roughly around that time.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, now at Game Pass is probably over 30 million subscribers. This is going to be the most played Forza Motorsport in history. This is also day and date for PC as well now with crossbuy and all the cloud saves and cross progression, all that stuff. So I feel like this is going to be the most played Forza Motorsport ever, just like Forza Horizon was. But it's a shame that it's not given some of the credit it's deserved. Now, there's some criticisms, right? But overall, this is a game that's going to last for years, get lots of support as well. So, and we can trust Xbox with that because that's what they do with their games.
I mean, listen, look, we just learned that Starfield is going to get 5+ years of support after its initial launch. I would imagine that Turn 10 Studios, we're not going to see a proper sequel to this game, whatever it's going to be called. If it's going to be called Forza Motorsport 2, is it going to be called Forza Motorsport,
Yeah, I don't think we get another
whatever?
one until next gen. Like, and I think
Probably not until next gen, and that's perfectly fine.
it
Yeah.
probably won't be a launch next gen either. It'll probably be like a couple years into it, is what I would assume, unless they actually hit launch. But like, even then, it's like I don't know. Do we want them to? I feel like with the ability that they have to upgrade and update these games over time, this game's gonna last. It's gonna have a lot of legs on it with all the content that they're gonna be dropping on it. This is gonna be a game that just lives in Game Pass, or if you own own your version of it or whatever, it's just gonna be there. And it's gonna be updated, and people are gonna keep coming back to this thing year after year and playing. And it's very special to have Forza kind of become that kind of game, as opposed to knowing every 2 years you got to buy a new one. You know.
Well, I mean, look, already we're starting to see what the future looks like for Forza Motorsport. If you're suffering from FOMO, like I think many people would be, buy the upgrade. It's the early access upgrade gives you the car packs and the car passes. I personally think it's worth it. Some people, listen, not everyone can afford it. Gaming's expensive, folks. Some people are like, yeah, boom, I'm stuck. I gotta wait. You know what? I hear you. If you don't have the $30 to spend, I totally get it. But if you don't want to wait, get to early access and get playing 5 days early, or wait to the 10th. One way or another, you're gonna play an amazing racing game. And you know what? I kind of want to just transition because we have still about 25 minutes left. And I do want to get into something because you mentioned it, and I think it's worthy of a conversation. Is Game Pass? What a freaking month for Game Pass, dude! Like it has just been, and like I said, I mean, I maybe depending on who you are and where your number falls. Does it start in November, September 6th, or October 6th? I just want to say that the block that we're going to talk about, Mav, is starting on the August 31st, where we saw the Sea of Stars release. Now, Sea of Stars, if you don't know what that is a bit type, or like a SNES bit type JRPG. It is phenomenal. It is an indie darling. It's probably going to be in the running for indie game of the year. It's that freaking good. That was Game Pass day and date. And if you look at, just again, I don't have the full list in front of me. By all means, folks, throw your favorite game from Game Pass in the chat. But this is what's missing from PlayStation. This is probably one of the reasons why Jim Ryan's career is over, because they just didn't have an answer for Xbox Game Pass. Just off the top of my head, right? You have obviously the bookends for Xbox first party, two of the biggest games of the year. Forza Motorsport just released. Starfield, even though it was in Game Pass, sold gangbusters. Then you got something in there from third party, Lies of P. I mean, those are just three games off the top of my head, plus Sea of Stars, and a couple of more that are coming. Let's see, the Warhammer one just released. That's the Dark Tide. Apparently, people are really digging that. That was supposed to come out, I think, last year, and it's finally in there. Just released into Xbox Game Pass. I want to get your hot take on this because I know this is not going to turn. I don't want it to turn into why Jim Ryan was fired, because I think he was fired. He wasn't. He could say
Yeah.
he's retiring all he wants. He's fired. That's it. And you know why he's fired? And again, I'm no rocket scientist here and sitting in this chair. He could have been running the show until he retires in March of 2024. That's not the case. He is no longer making any important decisions at SIE. He's basically just sitting home, probably having a cup of tea, because Hiroki Totoki took over October 1st, 2023, head of Sony proper, or second in command to Sony proper. That's a really, really big deal. But I really want to reel this in. Let's get your hot take. It is now the best time for people that were like watching Game Pass from afar and be like, yeah, I don't know. $15 a month. It went up
Yeah.
$2. Is it worth my money? I don't know. I don't know how else to sell it. I mean, I don't get a dime from Microsoft to sell you Game Pass. I'm good until 6/16/26, folks. So I'm locked in. I'm good. I want to get your hot take on this, man. Is now the best time to jump into Xbox Game Pass if you've been sitting on the sidelines or sitting on your hands?
Well, we've been waiting for the avalanche to unleash, right? We've been talking about it for years, and there was a longer wait, mostly because of COVID and all that situation caused development issues. That's why 2022 was so bare. A lot of us thought 2022 was going to be that year for the pipeline to just unleash, but, delays happened, and we're to this point now where we got this 2023 that was absolutely insane. If I would make a suggestion for people to go back in time and subscribe in January of 2023, because if you weren't, you missed out on an insane year for Game Pass, right? Just this year of Game Pass has been nuts. I mean, January, there's Hi-Fi Rush. You had 3 shadow drops this year into Game Pass day and date.
Yep.
There's Hi-Fi Rush, there was Age 4, and there was also Quake 2 Remaster. All shadow dropped. No hype beforehand, nothing like that. Just like, hey, here's a first party game, go for it, right? Here you go. That's just cherry on top of all the other stuff we already knew about we were getting this year, right? And then you also have these other games that are still hitting. You just had Warhammer 40K Dark Tide hit. Like,
Warhammer Bolt Gun is another one. Came out of nowhere
yeah.
in Xbox Game Pass, old school.
Yeah, that's
real
a fun
quick, let me
game.
just address something. Who was it here? Let me just find them. Jack Knight, brother. I appreciate the super chat. I'm going to read it in a hot sec. He says, once again, Double Barrel Gaming, Sea of Thieves, Sea of Stars is on PlayStation Plus day and date. I not taking away from that. That is the first game that they have dropped there day and date. That's a new game since Stray. It's just not enough. They raised the price by $40. Not enough for me. I cancel my subscription. I'm good until I think March of 24. After that they're not getting my money. That's
Yeah.
I'm not.
I mean, that's not enough. Like, I feel like if you are looking at game subscriptions and value, you just got Starfield, right? And if we only focus on the big games, I feel like all the rest of the games are amazing too, and like they have an insane value, and people should give them a chance and give them a try, because there's so many awesome games hitting Game Pass day and date that are like from third party studios or like from indie studios or and all these different things that are awesome and a blast. And even if you don't play them for a long time, you get to try it and try all this stuff out. There's been so much. I mean, you have like Exo Primal even hit Game Pass day and date, which is another third party game from Capcom. So this year has been pretty special. Now, if you ask, is this the best time to get in? I would say yes, because you already have this huge backlog to get into. I mean, you have hundreds and hundreds of games in there. Plus, if you just focus on the 2023 releases, it's nuts. But going forward, there's no end to this onslaught and the avalanche of games. And that's where really the value comes, because you have stuff to look forward to and games to play. next year you already have Hellblade 2 slated for 2024, Avowed slated for 2024. You have a new flight sim slated for 2024.
The
Towerborn is slated
yes,
for
dude, that looks
2024.
so good.
Yeah,
Oh my god,
and
dude.
that's already 4. And you know that Xbox is willing to keep stuff in their back pocket after we got 3 shadow drops this year. The craziest thing for me, Boom, about those 3 games that we just got out of nowhere this year is the year that Xbox had in 2022 with the lack of first party games, right? They could have made news about these things then to help stymie the criticism they were getting, right? To help, hey, look, we got these other things, they're coming, we'll announce some release dates and all that. They could have done that. Instead, they were so confident in their future plans that they actually kept these things in their back pocket and shadow dropped 3 different things this year, right? So they're willing to do that. So look ahead to 2024, those 4 games that I just mentioned that are already announced for 2024, plus what else are we going to get next year that we have no clue about? It's insane to really think about. And then you add on to the top of that all this third party stuff, all these other things, all these indie games and more. And you're looking at this ecosystem that really, if you wanted to, you could just have Game Pass and not buy a game. And you could actually just completely be happy because of the kind of variety that's there. No, I'm not
Indeed.
recommending people do that because obviously you miss out on other stuff, right? But it's insane value as a consumer. And I think the more of these big games that keep hitting, like Forza's and Starfield, and then those other games I mentioned for next year, it's going to be more of a thing that people are just going to see that they have to get a Game Pass subscription because there's just too much there to pass up on. And when there's so much stuff there, you look at the cost of buying all those games versus the subscription service, and it's just like a no-brainer, right? Like, even if you were to put it into this perspective, in a month's time, the amount of games that come out into Game Pass that you may be interested in playing, if you were interested in buying those games, the discount you get from buying games in Game Pass actually might pay for the subscription itself. Like, that's pretty crazy to think about. Like, all it takes is a couple games getting that 10% discount or whatever you get from buying games that are in Game Pass to actually get the value back of your subscription.
And
Like,
you get Microsoft points for buying
yes,
games.
it's nuts. Like,
Do your Bing challenges, folks. I do it every day. I'm addicted. It's crazy.
yeah. If you
I'm
want
gonna
to
get.
buy
I'm gonna.
games, buy 2 games, save the money, and then you get all these other games you don't necessarily have to want to buy, like included. Like, it's it's insane value. It's insane. I honestly still can't believe we're living in a world where if you were to tell 10-year-old me that one
Oh,
day we'd be
dude.
living in a world where we get games like this in a subscription service like for $15, it's nuts. Like, I just would never be able to believe you.
It's funny because, like I said, I'm not ashamed to say that I just turned 53. It's fine. Now I'm old. What can I tell you? I remember my dad taking me to Play World, right? That's the old toy store that used to be in the Bronx years ago. I mean, and the way they had the games, like my dad was a blue collar dude. Mom stayed home with us, so it was one salary coming in. That was it, right? So we didn't get games. We didn't get a lot of games. It's just
Yeah.
I worked like I started working. When I was like a kid because the allowance that my pops was giving me was just not cutting the mustard. You know what I'm saying? And birthdays, you get a good report card, you get a game, something like that. It didn't happen very often. I used to, and if you're old like me, you remember you used to go to like your Toys R Us or your Play World or your Child World and there'd be this big wall with
Yeah,
all of the
of cards.
games.
Cards.
With the
The
slips.
sleeves, and like at Toys R Us, there's
And you'd
the
put the slip.
magic window. You take it out to the
Yeah, the
person, and they
magic
go back.
window. Yeah,
I
man.
love that window, man. But you only got to visit it once every couple months if you're lucky.
It's crazy that you flip the card, you flip the card back, you'd buy the game based on the screen that you were seeing. It was like 2 pictures.
Yeah,
It was awful. Now for $17 a month, which is still $1 cheaper. Well, now actually it's even more because Sony raised their prices. $40 per for the high caliber version of it. $160 a year. Get the F out of here. It's just crazy. Real quick, I do want to catch up on the super chats. And then we'll give our final thoughts. Oh, I keep seeing people Cocoon indie game of the year for a lot of people. I saw a lot of people. Randall Thor loves it. Infinite Umbra loves it. I did not like it, folks. I tried. I played it. I played it for about an hour. I got through a couple of puzzles. I was like, yeah, this is just not for me. Now, maybe it's because I'm playing like Max Payne 3 and I'm playing Starfield. Now I'm playing Forza Motorsport. And I'm an indie guy. I am definitely an indie gamer. I love indies. I love them. It just did not hit for me, folks. So if again, it's one of those games. It's in Game Pass. It's day and date. People are loving it. Indie game of the year and the potential indie game of the year that launched into a service that also had Starfield and Forza Motorsport. I mean, wow. Are we're very spoiled. We're very lucky, but your baby Farva drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Great Forza review, Boom, and you spoke all facts about the coward known as Dan." Yes, yes. I listen. I don't shy away from controversy. You know what? He'll never call me out on it because he can give a shit what I say. No one cares what BoomStick says. No one cares. The channel's too small, but it's fine. I will speak my truth, and I think he is a coward, and that's fine. Jack Knight, who pointed out that Sea of Stars is in PlayStation Plus. So thank you so much for that, Jack. He drops very generous $2 super chat and says, "Where's King David? He was supposed to come on Friday. Yeah, he just couldn't get out of work, brother. Trust me when I tell you, I'm just as disappointed as you. King David is my he's like a brother. Like we're like family. He couldn't get here. We'll get him on. He's been super, super busy at work. So whenever he has free time, because he works nights, we'll get him on. Hopefully it'll be a breakfast at Boom, or hopefully that Drawn TJ dropped a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Forza Motorsport destroys Gran Turismo 7. It's the best game." Yeah, I mean, listen, some people think otherwise, and that's fine. Have different opinions, but I think this trumps Gran Turismo 7 tenfold. It's not even like leaps. It's not even just a hop, skip, and jump. It's leaps and bounds. A better game. Jax 82 drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, "A lot of what's in PlayStation Plus is either in Game Pass or has left Game Pass. I'm on the Essentials plan. If I ever want to upgrade, I would choose Extra plan. No higher than that. Premium is not worth it." Yeah, I mean, I was a premium guy for Sony. It went up $40. And the only reason why I would pay for their service, because I don't really play online. I play the games for single player, so that's why I would play. But it's for the cloud saves, which no one talks about. It's egregious that we have to pay for cloud saves, that those aren't offered for free. But listen, I'm just not paying. I'm not paying $80 a year for cloud saves. I'm just not going to do that. We have a new channel member, Juan. Welcome to the channel, brother. Thank you so much for joining the channel. It does help more than you know. And he also drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Any thoughts on some Xbox guys that for some reason are expecting Forza to look on an Xbox as good as the high-end PC?" Juan, there's been some takes. We don't shout anybody out individually because A, I'm too old for this shit. I don't want problems. And B, you have your opinion. What I'm playing on my TV on a Series X is bananas great. It's not good. It is bananas great. That's why I gave it a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think people sometimes equate what they are used to on PC and somehow fall back on the Xbox being like the lesser version. Well, if you have a 4090, it's gonna look freaking ridiculous because
Yeah.
it's a 4090.
Honestly,
And you can attest to that, Matt.
yeah, I have a new PC I built for Starfield. I have a 7900 XT AMD card in it, which is like pretty much top of the line that AMD has, right? It's really the actual graphics card they were promoting with Starfield. It's and honestly, after Starfield is night and day difference, right? So night from Xbox Series X to my PC, it is insanely different. Like the detail, the graphics, everything is like wow. On PC, it still looks great on Xbox, but on PC, it's like wow. Forza Motorsport, the Series X version is pretty damn close to the PC version, honestly. Like I played last night after streaming for a couple of hours on Xbox, and then I finally got to boot up the PC version, and I was like, okay, it looks pretty close to the same thing. Like it really wasn't too drastically different from the Xbox version. I gotta say, if you have an Xbox Series X and you are looking for like feeling like you're not getting the best experience or whatever, I mean, besides some like slight ray tracing reflection type stuff and things like that, there's really you're not going to see too much difference in the games. I honestly, you're going to really enjoy the experience you're getting out of the Series X version.
Yeah.
I was more impressed actually with the Series X version even after playing the PC version last night. And
Nice.
that's to say that the PC version obviously looks better. It does, but like this is not like a Starfield situation or anything like that where there's like this dramatic, huge difference in it. It is pretty just looking at it's pretty close. And I that's a props to turn 10 for optimization for consoles. What they got out of this game for Series X is kind of astonishing. The ray tracing on track, all that kind of stuff. I feel like the lighting solution that they have has its moments where it's like amazing. It has its moments where it's like, wow, that's like because of the new lighting system, it's a little like, oh, maybe that could have looked a little bit better, right? But overall, I think the new lighting and everything that they're doing that translates to consoles also there on PC, right? So you're going to see this game be supported for years and years to come, which for me, honestly, I'm looking forward to the future. I feel like they built this Forza as the template for the future, right?
Yes, I
And
agree. Yeah.
you're gonna see these
The
improvements,
groundwork, if you
upgrades, and all
will.
this stuff over time. But as a lot for launch, it's like it looks stunning, man. Like it really does. Graphical fidelity and of the track, the terrain around the track, the cars and everything is next level. The lighting 90% of the time is absolutely amazing, right? 10% of the time you're like, okay, maybe, and I said this jokingly, like I was like, at times I feel like there's like too much light, if that makes sense, right? It's just like, okay, like I'm drowned in light. It's like, oh, but and that can be a good thing or bad thing. It's a weird thing to say, but that's just moments in time when that happens. And I feel like there's only been one course that I've raced where I've kind of like really noticed that it's like, okay, I felt like it was a little washed out and stuff. Other times it's like happened in slight instances where the times of day change and the sun's glaring at a specific angle at you. Other than that, the lighting has been like 90% of the time absolutely better than anything I've witnessed in racing games, period. And I think there's room to grow, but like overall, fidelity wise on console, the PC, you're in for a treat. Best looking Forza there's ever been, best playing Forza there's ever been. And that's the two most important things, right? So
Yeah,
like,
you would think. You would think.
and if you're unsure, I gotta say too, don't you get this game in Game Pass in a few days. If you didn't get the early access or whatever, you get this game in Game
Next week.
Pass in a few days, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So don't judge and get your preconceived notions based on other people's comparison videos that are compressed, assy shit videos on
Yep.
Twitter, on YouTube, all that stuff. Just wait and play the game for yourself and see what it looks like to you. And if you're complaining about the visuals, then fine. But don't sit there and rave and rant about Forza Motorsport's visuals based on somebody on Twitter that obviously has some kind of agenda or whatever, trying to pick certain things apart to showcase Gran Turismo 7 versus Forza Motorsport in this certain instance. Oh my God, look at this, look at that. Judge for yourself and play both
Indeed.
games. You know what I've been doing leading up to playing Forza Motorsport the last few days? I've been playing Gran Turismo 7, so it'd be fresh in my mind.
Good for you, man.
And I've been having fun with it. But because it's fresh in my mind and I really get that feeling again of what that game is, I came into Forza Motorsport fresh from Gran Turismo, and I gotta say, like, it just hands down night and day the better game, period, in every single front. And that's just what it is, in my opinion. Now, somebody else may have different tastes. This is coming from somebody that loves Gran Turismo as well. I would say if I was to grade and judge Gran Turismo, I would probably give it like a 8.5, and I would give Forza Motorsport like a 9.5, but I'm way too early on to
Right.
actually review it because there's a lot of other aspects here. But this is a game you're going to pour hundreds of hours into before you really even get the grasp of what your actual critiques are, right? That's why I can't judge these reviewers, these people that are having these opinions and trying to allocate a score to something so early on that only got the game for a few days before dropping this kind of review and have all these criticisms or all these different things. It's like I feel like even just yesterday, boom, playing all day yesterday, based on what I've seen, I feel like I put more hours into it than some of the reviewers did.
You probably did. Yeah, I mean, think about that. You got some reviewers that did Starfield reviews, 6 out of 10. I put 4 hours in. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm trusting you. Same thing with this. Listen, I put 20. Go check go check the stats, folks. I don't hide anything behind anything. All my stuff is open for anyone to see. I put over 24 hours into this bad boy. And I loved every minute of it. I can't wait to get back to it. But listen, let me catch up on these last couple of super chats, and then we will get you out of here. Folks, thank you so much for taking the time to check out not only the review earlier of Forza Motorsport, but to hang out with me and Mav here for 70 minutes, give or take. We have Dreadful Sean drops a very generous $10 super chat and another Game Pass triumph. He says Game Pass discounts are amazing. I just got High on Knife or High on Knife bundle for $8. The retail price is 50. Paid for 3 months of Game Pass right there. There you go. Yep. We also have another super chat come from Tim the Sorcerer. Drops a very generous £2 super chat and says, awesome show. AI hackathon tomorrow. We'll miss the show. Don't sweat it, brother. It'll be up on demand immediately. And if you can't catch it on YouTube, you'll be able to catch it up all on the RSS feeds because I upload daily. When I'm done with the show, it goes up. I did not put up prime time yet because obviously it's just been busy morning, and I did do the 2 shows today. I'm going to put all 3 of these shows up later on this afternoon. So if you missed it live and you don't want to watch it on YouTube, you can watch it on Spotify. You can watch it on all of your favorite RSS feeds, as this channel is part of all of them. Matt, let's sell your brand, brother. Talk about fun speculation. What you got going on tonight? PM in the PM with Pong Soul, Mr. Starfield himself. Where could people subscribe to your channel, help you continue to grow the brand, and more importantly, reach out to you on social media?
Thanks for having me, Boom. If you want to check out what we got going on over on our channel, just go to Fun Speculation on YouTube. Tonight we do have a show. It's called PM in the PM. Pong Soul and I will be talking about Has the King Returned? Forza Motorsport. And we'll get some thoughts. Pong's been playing too, Boom. And we've been in the DMs with each other about the game. So he's got great things to say about it. But if y'all want to see specifically something Pong said about it, go check out his Twitter account because he had a really cool post about comparing his actual
Yes.
car from back in the day to the cars in
Yes.
Forza's. Right, which is like that's really judging, right? Like and grading something based on like real things. So check out the show tonight. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern time, PM in the PM with Pong and I. And then tomorrow night we got Xbox Ultimate Podcast at 10 p.m. Eastern time. There's bound to be some fun and shenanigans on that show if you're
Of
familiar
course.
with what we do there. And then Mondays we got Fun Speculation Podcast at 10 again, and then Fun Pop is our movies and TV show podcast Tuesdays at 10. And we just had a fun Ahsoka spoiler cast on Tuesday, which was a blast. Loved that show. It
You
was
know what's
great.
funny? Mrs. Boom and I have not watched an episode, not yet. We're gonna binge
Yeah.
over the weekend and catch up. And Loki season 2 is starting tonight, which we're gonna let it go, and then we're gonna binge that. Folks, if you don't know that we're into Korean dramas, and we're in the midst of 3 of them, and they're so freaking good. And yes, we keep subtitles on because the American dub is gross. So yes, that's our thing. That's our what we like to do outside of the movies because both of us are movie buffs. But Mav, it was great to hang out with you. a big shout out to the nearly 400 people that we had here today. And that's a really big deal. Again, this is a bit of a smaller show. Maybe Forza Motorsport didn't drive the numbers, if you will. But it's fine. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., we're going to be doing Breakfast with Boom. We have a lot on tap. I haven't even written the show yet. I'm literally going to, write the show later this evening, send out the show notes to the guys. And I want to thank all of the super chats and the channel members and a new channel member. Juan, thank you so much for becoming a channel member. Super appreciate it. Just for context, last week we gave away $500 worth of gift cards. All 10 gift cards have been delivered. I'm very happy about that. The first week of November, that Breakfast with Boom, it's going to be Mrs. Boom's birthday bash. We're giving away another $500 worth of gift cards, and of course, at the end of the year, as we've done for 6 consecutive years, we are doing Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. BoomStick, folks, and we are pushing the envelope further than we've ever done before. Thanks to the guidance of the money man or money woman, Mrs. BoomStick, we're giving away $1,500 in 2 hours. That's right, 10 $100 gift cards and 2 grand prizes of $250 gift cards, 2 of those. And all you got to do to win is be in the chat when we are live. Now, of course, if you drop a super chat, you get an additional entry. If you are a channel member, you get an additional entry. And half of those gift cards are going to be doled out to channel members first. So 5 $100 gift cards and one of the grand prize gift cards of $250 is going to be held and reserved for channel members. And if you are a channel member for more than 30 days, you do get that extra entry. And of course, then the other half, the other 6 will be for people that are in the chat while we are live. And of course, we can't do any of that without the super chats and without the channel memberships, because I'm a retired dude and the pension, though great, does have a ceiling. Of course, before we get out of here, I want to close out with something, folks, that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig, I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of X Vlog Live. It's funny, you never know what kind